Mind training, the key to seeing the world through truth. An untrained mind accomplishes nothing. A Course in Miracles. The world as you see it. Trained versus untrained mind. Imagine walking into a world-class sushi restaurant. The chef behind the counter, a master of his craft, moves with precision and grace. Every slice, every roll, every delicate placement of fish and rice is executed with an elegance that appears effortless. But what if that same chef had never undergone rigorous training? What if he had skipped the 2 years of mastering rice preparation, the very foundation of sushi? His work would be sloppy, his skills undeveloped, and his final product would be far from excellence. This is the difference between a trained and untrained mind. An untrained mind is undisciplined, chaotic, and reactive. It absorbs every fear-driven thought without question, confuses illusion for reality, and sees the world through a fractured lens. It is a mind that jumps to conclusions, reacts emotionally, and never questions its own assumptions. Like the sushi apprentice who refuses to master the rice, an untrained mind attempts to create a life of peace, clarity, and joy without first learning the foundation: disciplined thought. A trained mind, on the other hand, is like the master sushi chef, precise, patient, and grounded in truth. It does not react blindly. It observes. It does not fall into fear. It questions fear's validity. A trained mind sees with clarity, and that clarity comes from seeing through the eyes of love rather than fear. What does an untrained mind look like? It believes what it sees without questioning it. If the world appears chaotic, unfair, or threatening, it assumes that's the truth rather than questioning its own perception. It is highly reactive. It jumps from one worry to the next, never stopping to observe its own thinking. It is easily manipulated. Fearful thoughts, media narratives, other people's opinions, an untrained mind absorbs them without discernment. It lacks peace, constantly chasing after happiness in external circumstances, never realizing that happiness is a state of mind, not an event. What does a trained mind look like? It questions everything. Instead of assuming a fearful thought is true, it asks, is this thought based on love or fear? It observes instead of reacts. It learns to pause, reflect, and choose its response rather than being pulled by emotions. It sees through illusion. The world we see is a projection of our inner beliefs. A trained mind recognizes this and refuses to be deceived by surface appearances. It experiences true peace. Peace is not something it seeks. It is something it maintains by choosing love over fear in every moment. Mind training is not brainwashing. A common misconception is that mind training is some form of indoctrination or brainwashing. But consider this. If someone has spent their whole life being conditioned to believe fearful thoughts, to live in reaction rather than awareness, who is really brainwashed? The untrained mind is already conditioned. It just doesn't realize it. Mind training is the process of undoing the false and retraining the mind to see through truth. It is not about adopting new beliefs, but rather about unlearning the false ones. The challenge: are you willing to train your mind? Training the mind takes time. Just as a sushi master dedicates years to perfecting rice before he even begins handling fish, mind training requires patience and discipline. The question is not whether it is worth it. The question is, are you willing? Because an untrained mind accomplishes nothing. But a trained mind sees, a trained mind knows, and a trained mind above all is free.